Welcome to Express It. Today we're going to look at the iPad 2 launch. Steve Jobs surprised everyone yesterday coming on stage in San Francisco to talk about the new tablet device. But of course we couldn't just wait for him to tell us what would be in it. On the web we had to speculate for months about what sort of features we'd see. But what were the rumors that actually held up as being true and the ones that just didn't pan out at all? Let's go back and look at a few of the things that were said about it and see, were they true or were they just false? Okay, so first here, one of the rumors that was sort of enticed by a few of the cases we saw at the Consumer Electronics Show in January sort of led us to believe that it would have rear and front-facing cameras for video conferencing. So, you look at this case, you see that little camera hole, so of course that leads you to believe that it will have a camera. Now, this one panned out. It was true. There will be a rear and front-facing camera on the iPad 2 for video conferencing, so you'll be able to use FaceTime amongst other applications. But if, this rumor was almost a given. You had to think that the iPad 2 would need the cameras to compete with other tablets on the market. So far, so good. The rumors are being true, but go a bit further back in the timeline, and you see this rumor, which just was blatantly false. This idea that there would be a 7-inch screen on the iPad, and this was proven to be false before the iPad launched. But some people were thinking, will the iPad 2 be more like the RIM Playbook, for example, go with that smaller screen size? No, in actuality, we have the 9.7-inch screen size that the first generation iPad had. So that one didn't pan out either. Other cases that we saw at CES also led us to believe that the iPad 2 might have a larger speaker and would be a bit thinner and a bit lighter. So you look at this case, for example, it's quite thin. You couldn't fit a first generation iPad in there. And looking at other features of the case gave it some more room for that speaker to be audible through the case. So this one was half true. At this point, it seems like there's no mention of a larger speaker. Apple is not saying anything about that. So that leads me to believe it's the same as the first generation. But half of it was true. We do have a thinner iPad. It's 1/3 thinner than the first iPad. And it's a bit lighter too. So half of that panned out. Another rumor was that the iPad 2 would have a Retina display, just like on the iPhone 4, which is the highest resolution smartphone screen on the market. People thought the iPad 2 would upgrade its screen, and you'd get like really nice high definition screen on there. Now, with a new processor, it would have been possible to support that, but you know what? The battery life would have just been drained too quickly on a screen that size. So I think that Apple was smart to keep it at the current resolution, 1024 by 768. Here's one of the wackier rumors, I think, was that Apple would put a kickstand into the iPad, but it was actually generated by a pretty legitimate claim, this patent that Apple filed showing designs for a kickstand on the iPad. But I just can't imagine that working very well. It doesn't seem very elegant. And in fact, their smart covers design that they've released alongside the iPad 2 seems much better. That case that sort of protects the screen and folds up so you can use it as a video stand or a typing stand, that seems much better than this kickstand approach. So I'm glad that they went with the smart covers. And lastly, of course, a lot of people would be hopeful that the iPad 2 would include a USB port on it, so you could maybe use it with some more accessories. It would be a little more easier to use with, say, keyboards, cameras, things like that. But of course, Apple sticking with their proprietary port, only offering the same old dock connector that we've seen on other iPhones and iPads. So that rounds out. Most of these turned out to be false, of course. Maybe the lesson to be learned is that we should just wait until Apple tells us what will be in the products, and we shouldn't waste too much time musing over what might be in them. But hey, you can't stop people from having fun either. For itbusiness.ca, I'm Brian Jackson.